Good afternoon. This is Jamie from the channel Read Brucey. I hope y'all are having a wonderful week. I come to you today to talk to you a little bit about the book I just finished, and that is The Belle of Chatham by Laura Frantz. And I also want to talk to you, or I want to do the America the Beautiful tag. So let's get started. So we'll start with The Belle of Chatham. I finished it today. So before I put it down, let's talk about it a little bit. The synopsis of this book is the call for liberty creates a divide between family, country, desire, and duty, love, and loyalty. In 1777, caught in the crossroads of the American Revolution, Sisters Maybelle and Coralie Bohannon's quaint New Jersey village becomes a battleground as they house American officers. Rebellion ripples through their family as members take up opposing sides, patriots and loyalists, causing a deep chasm that fractures their once unbreakable bond. As May's friendship grows with the American general Rees Harlow, Coralie continues her liaison with her childhood sweetheart, a British officer stationed in New York. May, torn between deepening her love for the general and suspicion that her sister is a British spy, leaves the only home she's ever known for the New York frontier. When betrayal strikes in the heart of the wilderness, she's forced to take a perilous journey that tests her very survival and those she loves, all in the name of liberty. This was a solid book, probably not my favorite. I gave it a 3.5 stars, a 4-star rating on Goodreads. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it per se. Probably, like I said, wasn't my favorite. I've read two books by Laura Frantz. This one and The Rose and the Thistle. I would say by far The Rose and the Thistle was my favorite of the two. But there was nothing wrong with this. This one just wasn't my favorite. Um, you know, I liked May. I wish she would have stood up for um and said, "Hey, look, Coralie, you can't be spying." I wish she would have been a stronger character. I think that was my issue. That was the issue I had. I wish all of the characters would have done different things, but of course, I guess you wouldn't have a story if you wouldn't have had disagreements with the characters. Here's the few issues I had. The scenes tend to jump. One minute you're in a scene and the next minute you're jumping ahead, or in one you're talking about one character and then all of a sudden you're jumping to another character. And that is apparently just the narrative style of Laura Frantz. Most people probably are okay with that. It just seems to just jump kind of sporadically without any like transition. That was a little jarring sometimes. The other little issue I kind of had with the story was there were a couple of storylines that seemed to be unfinished to me. Like we didn't get enough information about. And then the last thing was it just seemed like the story just bam was done. It just ended too quickly. And so those are the three things that caused me to rate it a 3.5 in my, like I said on Goodreads it was rounded up to a 4, but that would be the three reasons I rated it lower than I would have probably. Otherwise, it was a solid book. I mean, it wasn't anything particularly wrong with it other than those little things. Um, will not stop me from reading Laura Frantz books in the future. I just, you know, may not be that this one is her better one for me. I want to read the Lace Maker one. I've heard it is a good one. So, moving on, I am jumping into another Revolutionary War book that just released today, and that is by Shanna Hatfield. I will read you the synopsis of it. Let me get pulled up on Goodreads. It is also a book dealing with spies. It's for liberty and love. She never intended to become a spy, and I will put a picture of it up here. She never intended to become a spy or fall from one. It happens in Philadelphia of 1776 as whispers of revolution turn or swell into a roar for freedom. Lucy Carlson is no longer content to simply watch from behind the counter of her father's jewelry shop. When a mysterious woman, none other than Martha Washington, leaves behind a locket, Lucy discovers the piece is more than a pretty keepsake. The necklace is a secret vessel for the revolution that carries the promise of love. Drawn into a dangerous spy ring, Lucy begins crafting coded messages concealed within the locket's clever design, leaving a secret double life and risking everything she holds dear in a time of sacrifice and war. Continental soldier Branch Barton is a man defined by duty. Tasked with rooting out traitors, he moves through the shadowed world of deception and divided loyalties. He's trained to trust no one, yet he finds himself drawn into a slow-burning connection with the jeweler's spirited daughter. But when Lucy begins to suspect Branch may be a redcoat in disguise, their fragile bond is tested by mistaken identity, growing mistrust, and the threat of betrayal. In a war where even allies can become enemies, Lucy and Branch must navigate a world of hidden truths and guarded hearts. With the fate of the colonies and their hearts hanging in the balance as Lucy delivers a message in enemy territory, will they find the courage to trust each other and choose love? Courage built a nation. Love made it worth fighting for. Throughout 250 years of American history, a well-loved locket finds its way into the hands of 8 spirited heroines, each standing at the crossroads of love and destiny, and each inspired by a true patriot. As it journeys from one heart to the next, these stories unfold with a sweet romance, unwavering hope, and deep love of country, proving that each in uncertain times, love is always worth the risk. Start reading the Petticoats and Patriots series today. So this is the first book in a series of books about this locket, and it starts with this one in the American Revolution. And it's written by different authors, and Shanna Hatfield has the first book in the series that released today. So I'm excited to get started on it today. Now let's move on to the America the Beautiful tag. I believe this tag was created by Tay from Tales with Tay. All right. I was not tagged with this tag, but I saw someone do it and I decided I wanted to do it. So I decided to go ahead and do it anyway. Okay. Question number 1 says, "In God We Trust, a book that has inspiring faith." And I thought about the book Tea with Elephants, or you could do the second book, Gelato at the Villa. This is the Suitcase Sisters books by Robin Jones Gunn. The third book, Shortbread in the Highlands, will be out next week. All of these books have just tremendous, tremendous faith in them. First book, one of the girls has a really marriage crisis that she's going through, and she finds redemption, and which is amazing. In book 2, one of the girls is not a believer and just really finds her way to faith in the book. Question 2 is Oh Glory, a book that elicits strong emotion. And I said any book by Francine Rivers would fit the bill for that one. Well, I have the book that I'm about to start for that prompt, and that would be As Sure as the Dawn. This is book 3 in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. I'm getting ready to start that just momentarily, so definitely will fit the bill for that one. I have read maybe one book by her that does not elicit strong emotion. Book number 3, or question number 3, is Superpower. The main character has a unique ability, or it is a big book. I decided to go with a main character with a unique power, and I'm going to go with Genie by Elizabeth Joy. This is an Aladdin retelling that I read for February, back in February, and just a really unique book. It's a Christian book. It is just really well done. It's the first in a series. Can't wait to see what else the author does with that. Okay. Question number 4 is The American Dream, a book with a great family. And I'm sure I could have found a book set in America for this, but for whatever reason, I chose Sense and Suitability by Pepper Basham, which of course is an American author, but I love the cousin dynamic between and the sisters in this book. There's a couple of sisters, and then the vicar is the cousin, and then of course her boyfriend, or the guy she loves, his family dynamic also. Okay, so just some great family dynamics there. All right, question number 5, One Republic, a book with a political intrigue. So I chose kind of an interesting one for this one. And that is a book called The Bark of the Bog Owl by Jonathan Rogers. And I actually have the whole series with me. It's The Secret of the Swamp King, and the last one is The Way of the Wilder King. I chose this because these books are set in like an American swamp like fantasy world, but they are a retelling of the King David story. So very much political intrigue. All right. Pledge of Allegiance. This is question number 6. Pledge of Allegiance. A book or series you are fiercely loyal to. I chose the Timeless series. Okay, which this is book 1. If you don't know this series, your head is probably in the sand somewhere. I'm just kidding, but uh, by now I'm sure everybody knows what this is about, which this would be a really, really good book for Red, White, and June, because it does have part of the story is set in pre-revolutionary uh, Williamsburg. So it would be a great book to read at this time. All right. Another, just a honorable mention for that prompt would be The Kensington Chronicles by Lori Wick, which the first book in that series is The Hawk and the Jewel. All right, I'll put that picture of that up there. Okay. Question number 7 is Oh Say Can You See, a book that surprised you or the ending gave you chills. And I'll put a picture of this book up here, and that book is most definitely The Girl Upstairs. That book was a very much a chilling read, and the ending of that book definitely gave me chills. the next question. Question 8, I guess. Melting Pot, a book that is a blend of multiple genres. And the book that comes to mind for this one would be Smoke and Glass Slippers by Ashley Willingham. This feels like a blend of fantasy and dystopian, which is a blend of multiple genres. It is a fairy tale retelling set in a dystopian society, but yet also fantasy. So it's very interesting. So I feel like that's the best one I knew for that one. So question number 9 is A Secret Spy, a book with espionage. So the book that came to mind for this one was a book I read just recently by Natalie Walters called Spies, Lies, and Alibis. Okay. And I will put a picture up there of that one, of course. Belle of Chatham would work for that prompt as well, as would Of Liberty and Love that I am reading currently would also work for that one. Okay. And lastly, Westward Expansion is question 10, and that is to tag someone. So I'm going to tag Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails, and Sami from Sami Reads, and Hannah from Hannah's Book Cafe. How about that? And anybody else that wants to do this tag, feel free to do it. Y'all have a wonderful day.